First off, I'm so excited because Jackie is a systems savant and a systems guru. I'm excited for her to share some thoughts about database, and she's going to be taking the lead. Another thing I just want to pitch quick before I turn it over to Jackie is we are doing an SOP event where we're going through our standard operating procedure for lead conversion, for buyer agents, for listing agents, for your team. And that's going to be essentially hosted by Eric, myself, Colton Whitney, who just crossed 100 million in sales down in Orange County. And then, of course, Rachel and Mike Novak, the OGs up in Everett, Washington. We're super excited about it. It's going to be very well done, and you get a copy of everything that we're giving. So make sure to check that out. I'll drop the link below. But Jackie, the show is yours, my friend. Run with it, and I'll chime in a moment again.
Yes, which I always appreciate your input anyway. So, Robby asked me a few weeks ago on one of our coaching calls, what topic would I want to discuss on a webinar? And without hesitation, I said mining your database would have to be it. I talk with teams all over the country every day, whether it's on a demo or a systems coaching call, that seem to be looking for the same thing, okay? Ease of use and a way to leverage their time and organize their database. The interesting thing, though, that I've happened upon myself and just kind of reading between the lines, I think, is that they're also looking for the idea or that ability to be able to find the low-hanging fruit, right? And only be able to convert those leads or only convert those leads. That's the only area that we're kind of paying attention to. And in doing so, what I'm seeing is that what happens is your database kind of fills with all of these leads that we've never made contact with. You have a bunch of leads in there that have given one objection, just one, and we've allowed them to get away with just one. Yep. And we've written them off and basically said, all right, keep, browsing. Let me know if you have any questions. And then we just put them under do not contact or trash or junk. And this is a problem. And I want to make sure that we touch on that because we are in this little bit of a shift now within the market. And so now more than ever, it's going to be really important to kind of turn inwards to the database and take a look at what we have in there. So
yeah, can I chime in on that real quick, Jackie?
Please do, yes.
Yeah, I'm going to, you said a little shift, and I'm going to raise it a little bit. It is a full-on shift. And friends, you should probably all write this down. What got you to where you are today is not going to get you to where you want to go. I keep hammering that we are entering in, and we are in the midst of separation season. And basically, I think there's going to be three outcomes of people that work in real estate. There's going to be those that die. They literally disappear. They don't literally die, by the way. Just to be very clear, we're not killing anybody here, but their businesses will die. You're going to see those that barely survive, and then you're going to see those that thrive. And the reality is this, is that during shifts like this, it's those that focus on their locus of control, which tends to be partaking in activities, some of which Jackie's going to be sharing today, doing them over and over again. It's going to be those people that don't just survive, they thrive. What I get excited about, and I'll be very frank, in real estate the last 2 years, your skills haven't mattered at all. It's literally been whoever can just run and jump and be there, whoever can answer the phone. When market shifts happen, skills and mindset matter again. And we're in this shift where skills and mindset are becoming everything. We've been playing basketball in that little Tykes hoop that's 2 feet tall, and we all think we're MJ. And friends, wake the hell up, you're not. And the reality is Jackie's going to be giving you a prescription of things today about some of the things you're going to be doing to find additional opportunities in your database, which you have to be doing. You got to be willing to do more to get less. And then the second thing you have to be doing is practicing like you haven't practiced before to increase your skills and confidence. If you do this, You'll be that person that doesn't just survive this shift, you will thrive. And here's why. There are two types of people out there. There's those that run away from the storm, and there's those that run through it. Those that thrive through it, run through the storm, and they're not in the storm anywhere near as long. I'm already seeing it happen in places where the shifts happened in April this year, where they're already seeing the storm behind them. They're creating advantages in their business. And all I'm trying to do right now is, Jackie, I'm trying to tee up that everything you're about to share is unbelievably important.
Yep.
That way you don't die and you don't just survive barely. That way you thrive in the next 6 to 12 months. So Jackie, the floor is yours.
I'm so happy you said all of that. You know, what I want people to think about today is that, are you a rainmaker, an agent who's feeling really frustrated right now because we don't have business, right? Because all of a sudden the market has shifted. And are you contemplating like, okay, I need to spend more money to get more leads. That's what I need to do. That's going to solve the problem. Now, please don't hear me. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. What I'm asking you to do in addition to that, though, is turn around and take a look at the leads that you already have, the business that you already have within your CRM already. And what are you doing with them? What is your level of maintenance on those leads? We all know we need to convert them, but friends, if you've been focusing on low-hanging fruit, you haven't been focusing, right? So you need to turn, and we're going to talk about these action items that you need to take, implement into your conversion, into your management of your leads, so that you don't feel this feeling and you can thrive, like Robby said. So, and when you're saying do more, and we're in keeping with our low-hanging fruit analogy here, you now have to, and we talked about this once, Robby, go over, find a ladder somewhere. Where is it? No idea. Find it, drag it back over, climb up, and actually work for the business that you're going to do. And the effort is there, and that doesn't always feel comfortable either. And we're going to talk through that here in a few.
Yeah. People's the analogy that you're referencing is, in real estate, a lot of people talk about low-hanging fruit. And basically what we see a lot of people do, especially when things are easy, is we grab the low-hanging fruit and we feed ourselves and we don't do anything else. Well, the problem with that is, if you don't utilize your muscles, right? You don't use your calves, have fun climbing and walking. It's just not as fun. And that's where people are at, right?
Yep.
That's where they are, is your skills have deteriorated the last, honestly, 18 to 24 months. Your skills, your lead conversion conversation skills are probably pretty shitty. Sorry, friends. And you have to wake up to that. I think feelings right now are so key, because I always tell people, and this is just an ISA nerdy thing that people can take how they want it. There are generally 3 different ways people deal with feelings. One is stuffers. Most men, you can raise your hand, are usually stuffers. Okay. The second path is the truthers. They believe every emotion they have is the absolute truth and nothing but the truth. And then third are the explorers. The explorers explore their emotions to find out, what is the story my emotions are trying to tell me. I guarantee you right now, this is what I kept hearing. I've had 2 calls today with really great teams in different parts of the country. And there's just angst. There's fear. There's uncertainty. There's nervousness. And all you have to be doing, if you're stuffing that and ignoring it, that's stupid, friends. That's called volcanoing. You will blow the hell up. If you think the world is going to end, friends, that is stupid as well. What we need to be doing is exploring, what is the reality? What are my emotions telling me? And here's what I think your emotions are probably trying to tell you, is that you are not who you need to be right now to be successful. You are not climbing up the ladder. It is going to be harder. But here's what's awesome. How easy is it to work out once you've been doing it for a year and a half, especially when you compare yourself to everybody else who hasn't been doing it for 2 years? The reality is, your habits and your willingness to do the work are going to matter so much more. It's doing that maintenance. It's doing those standards. It's creating standards, I think, in your world of what are you and your team going to be living by to make sure that you're no longer just grabbing the low-hanging fruit, because friends, you will starve to death. There will not be enough of it, or you'll barely survive. If you learn to walk over and grab the ladder and walk up the damn ladder and go to the top of the tree, you will have more than enough fruit to feed yourselves, your family, and your team. But you have to be bought in to be willing to go grab the ladder. And those are phone calls, texts, and the crap we're going to be sharing today. So Jackie, I get a little fired up.
No, and I love this. It's really exciting because I really, yes, this is a mining your database webinar, and I'm so thankful you all are here. But this is also a truth-telling webinar. I want you to kind of meet yourself where you're at and look in the mirror and really assess what you have been doing as a leader, as a team member on your team, to contribute to the success that you're having and your team is having. And, that's going to take a level of honesty that we can't give you here today, but I really recommend doing that, because this stuff seems simple. What we're going to talk about, it's going to be like, oh yeah, of course, but it's the simple stuff that I feel like we're all not really good at, and that we can hone in on those skills. And that's why I believe that kind of getting back to basics in your CRM is so important to talk through. My goal for this webinar really is to highlight the areas within your database that you need to be looking at, and the action items that you need to take and implement so that you're not losing business that you already paid for. And more importantly, so that you and your team can meet the goals that you set for yourself, because that's what this is truly about. This is that thriving that Robby, right? Words are hard. That Robby mentioned. I'm right. I'm a poet. I didn't even know it. That's fine. Yeah. Now here's the thing. The fact that you're already here today is exciting to me, because it tells me that you're serious about learning more. You know that this is a key element to your business, and that you can probably hone in on some of these areas. So kudos to you. I'm happy to have you here. So Robby, ready to kind of jump into this?
I like it. And I think the simplest analogy to talk about that ladder is, we'll share some of the things that I think are the ladders. But if you're not willing to go step on it and utilize them and actually do it, you can have the best ladder in the world, the safest. That ladder's irrelevant. It's nothing but a hunk of metal. Everything that Jackie and I are talking about is the things we're sharing with you don't matter at all if you don't do them. Mm-hmm. And execution and doing, even if it means using a shitty ladder, is far better than just staring at a ladder across the street. And I think a lot of people, again, you said be a truth teller. I ain't afraid to be that truth teller. A lot of people show up to this and you want that golden ticket. Stop. Go do some shit. Okay. A lot of you probably don't even need to be listening to this. Go mine your database. Go check your priority alerts. Call or text some leads. You need to take advantage of the ladder. You got to start climbing it. There's too much at stake, friends. If you want to provide for your friends and family, because the reality is that's what all this is about. Almost always is the income to ourselves so we can provide for our families. Almost always that's the primary crux of why we're all here. We're here to make some money. Let's not ignore that fact. Mm-hmm. And we convert leads so we can get more deals. Why do we want more deals? Tell more people. Why do you want to help more people? To make more money. Let's just shoot it straight. No more bullshit. And we're entering in a season where we just need to be very clear about that. And that's okay, right? It's okay to be selfish for your family and protect your family and to do what you need to be doing to take care of yourself. I think that is okay. Obviously, there's other things that play into it as well. But Jackie, let's kick it off. I want to hear about the ladders that we're going to be handing people today. What are those things they need to be doing?
Yes. Now, real quick, because when you say things, I get inspired. So the other thing that I wanted to say is I do often get asked adaptability. Like how, Jackie, and all the things that I'm going to talk to you about today, you might be thinking, okay, great, sign me up, or however I do it. But how do I get my team to do it? How do I get them to adapt it? And we can't give that to you. Okay, this is honest conversations that Robby and I are having with you here that you take back to your team and you implement. And we're in this season too, where hard conversations need to be had, that standards need to be implemented. And so, take what you hear today and bring it back to the team so that you can start to do that, because it will help your business. So with that being said, I really started to think about the main areas that I want to discuss today. And I really came up with 3. Okay. And the first one that I really want to take a look at, and the first one that I want you to write down, is I want you to look at your leverage. Okay. What do you have for action plans within your CRM? And are they going to work for you? Okay. Do they act like your personal assistant? Do they help you leverage your time by allowing you to scale the amount of people that you can talk to on a daily basis, or don't they? Right? It's either yes or a no there. If they don't, if you don't have these action plans, you're going to want to look into getting some for your CRM. It's so important. As much as we would like to think that we're superhuman, we are not. Okay. We cannot reach out to hundreds or thousands of leads on our own consistently and intentionally. Please hear that. Intentionally. We cannot do it. It's not going to happen, folks. We need the help from the CRM and its ability to send out automated messages on our behalf. Okay. Now, if you do have action plans, I want you to take a look at how long do they run? Okay. Are they reaching out for at least a year upon registration? Right. If if you don't have that, again, please look into getting some. These leads are really tricky as human beings. Okay. They have lives just like us. They're at home, or they're looking at homes on lunch breaks, right? They have kids, families, friends, commitments outside of talking to us. So you have to have a process in place that will consistently reach out to try to establish initial contact with leads in between manual touches that you should already be doing in addition to this stuff, to the action plans, reaching out. Robby, thoughts there?
Nope. You keep going.
Okay, great. Perfect. All right. So let's stay in line with action plans. And I want you, in addition to, do you have them? I want you to take a look at, and this is separate, believe it or not, at what your follow-up plan looks like. Okay. Does your follow-up plan simply consist of a manual task that you have to remember to set and to reach out randomly in a year from now, right? Or do you have action plans that check in multiple times over the course of a year or two? This is so, so important. And here's why. When we're keeping in contact with leads that we have great conversations with, or when we've made contact and we've had great conversations with them, we've determined time frame that they're looking to do something, right? The issue is going to be if it's not right now. So again, referencing our low-hanging fruit. If you talk to somebody who's ready to do something in 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, if you are not keeping in consistent and intentional contact with these folks, you are doing your business a huge disservice. And in my opinion, this is by far one of the biggest areas of loss amongst lead converters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. I want to chime in on that if you're cool with it, Jackie.
Please.
The reality is, the reason we say this, whether you've spoken to the lead, whether it's a follow-up, whether it's somebody who told you they're not interested, actually, I think what we need to realize is everything is impermanent.
Yeah.
Okay. We need to realize that your life and our lives are consistently changing all the dang time. Nobody expects for their spouse to cheat on them. Nobody expects those twins. Nobody expects deaths to happen. Nobody expects that marriage to go as quick as they thought. And plans change. And that's what we really realize is, especially with like not interested leads, people say they're not interested. That usually means they're not interested right now. It doesn't mean no forever. It means not right now. And then on the other hand, one other thing that and I might be jumping the gun, Jackie, so I'd be like, Robby, shut up if I need to. But if your content of your messaging sucks, you talked about you need to be doing things and it needs to be going out consistently. If the content of your messaging is long and boring and salesy and pushy, stop wasting your time. Those are the most likely messages to get replies that say stop or F off, screw yourself, which leads to you actually getting literally banned from sending your messages out. You have to have innovative messages that are short, direct, and curious. You have to have things that are asking people questions, because texting or messaging or email is just communication. It's not a marketing channel. I think that's where people confuse texting, Jackie, is they think texting is another marketing channel. No, it's not. It is a conversational channel. If you use it for marketing, you will get slapped in the face if you're texting people, stuff like that. So anyways, the content has to be quality as well. Someone asked if our stuff covers this. I mean, we're biased as hell. But our messaging plans, we're consistently innovating. We'll talk about some of that, I think, later today. But content matters is what I wanted to get at.
Yeah. And this is the first time that I've heard you talk about, if you're marketing to your leads within your CRM, stop doing. I've never heard you say that before. And it was like this aha moment, because that's almost being able to put my finger on one of the main issues that I've seen for so long. Your marketing is what you do to bring business to your CRM. Once they're in there, folks, you have to build a legit relationship with them. And that's where everybody gets this wrong, where it's like, okay, that golden ticket that you were referenced at the beginning, I've been on a couple calls and it's like, okay, so what do I have to do? And I do understand that, right? Because we're like, our plans are here to leverage time. That's what automation is for. And we want to do that as much as possible so that we can appear to be superhuman, right? But the building of that relationship has to be so different than what you're doing to get the leads to your business. It just does. Like, I've talked to folks, just have conversations like they were your friends or your family, get to know them. And you've always said, release your attachment to the outcome when you're trying to convert a lead. And that's one of my favorite things, because we don't, and we need to. So anyway, I'm kind of going down a rabbit hole, but
I think you're killing. That's such a good point. And it's interesting because people are going to tell you no. It's where I see a lot of people failing right now, Jackie, is they have these leads that they have spent money on, they've marketed to, and they've come in, and they have no idea. They might even be using our stuff. Let's just say that they are, hypothetically. And somebody responds and they say, no, I was just looking for fun. If there's one thing that we need to add, if you want to mine your database properly, there's 2 rules that I'm giving all my clients right now. Number 1 is you have to go 5 deep into people's no's. Okay, you have to view someone telling you no, it's the same thing as your kid having a meltdown over Legos at Target. They're feeling something, and usually that feeling is fear or uncertainty or nervousness. In a normal market, if you went 3 deep with no, so when someone said, I'm just kind of curious, and you ask another question like, got it, what had you interested in real estate? And I think this is the biggest thing you all have to master, friends, is the art of the pivot, meaning when someone tells you some form of no, you turn their prior answer, you go to another question that keeps the conversation moving forward. And you feed energy into their interest and motivation, and you avoid giving energy into their reluctance or their fear. It's the idea that you need to shine the light on what had them interested and why they're curious, and don't put any of that light on their fear or resistance. It's just like wanting to grow a plant versus a weed. Whatever gets the light will grow. And far too many of us hear somebody say, I'm just curious. I'm not doing anything. And you give up. And in these times, you have to be willing to go 5 deep. I'm not saying be an asshole. What I am saying is sometimes people will ghost you and hang up on you, and that's okay. If that's not happening, sometimes you're not doing what you should be doing. And here's what's really funny. You will have plenty of people on that 5th or 6th time that they'll find like, well, we're kind of thinking about this. You have to get really uncomfortable right now, friends, because people's walls are up higher because of everything they're feeling. They're afraid of you because they don't know you. They're afraid of the market. They're afraid of buying because everyone's been saying the real estate market's due for a crash. People are fearful. And friends, you need to wake up to one simple truth. And it's simply this. People don't buy or sell because of interest rates of the market. They buy or sell because life freaking happens. And they buy or sell despite the market. That's why a lot of you are going to hear someone say, I'm not doing anything for 12 months. And you take it at face value. You follow up 12 months later and they say, I bought a home 6 months ago. Then you pound your head against the wall saying, what happened? I'll tell you what happened. You settled for a surface level answer. You didn't challenge it. You didn't go deep enough. You have to go 5 deep. Number 2, and this is my last thing, and I'm flipping back over to you, Jackie. You have to find the emotional driver behind why someone is wanting to do something. You have to ask emotional wedged questions. Things like, Jackie, if you stay in your current rental, how's that going to affect you? Jackie, what's your living experience in your current rental like? If you don't get more space before those twins come, how's that going to affect you and your family? Friends, we have to be direct and ask questions about people's feelings, because feelings are what drive people. People act on emotion and they think with logic. When you're taking all this stuff that we're talking about, these tools, these focuses, you have to be diving into the emotion. Because guess what? When someone goes home and they're expecting twins, the last thing they give a shit about is interest rates. What they care about is, oh my God, we already have 2 kids and we have 3 bedrooms right now. And we have 2 more kids on the way. Right? Or the market. They don't care about those things. Here's how I know it. People were still buying and selling homes. Post 2008. Go look at the data. In most markets, people were still buying homes in 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 at about 80% of the rate they were prior to the crash. Still a lot of people buying and selling. And look at the 1980s, friends, were people buying and selling homes despite interest rates in the teens? Literally 3 times what it is now. People buy and sell because life happens. When you're taking all these tools, when you're thinking about things, you have to go 5 deep. What that means, someone asked what 5 deep means. It simply means that when someone tells you no, you turn into another question. So Jackie tells me that she's just looking for fun. That's no number 1. Well, help me understand. What had you looking at houses, Jackie? What had you looking for fun? Oh, I was just checking things out. I'm not doing anything. That's no number 2. I could totally understand that. Are you thinking about maybe, buying a home sometime in the future, Jackie? No, I'm not really thinking about doing it. The market's too crazy. That's no number 3. Okay, so you said you're kind of thinking about it. Tell me about that, Jackie. What's going on? Well, we need more space, but we don't know if we can afford it. No number 4 or 5. I don't remember. I've lost track at this point. The point is, you can't give up on that first, second, or third no. You have to go layers deep, because people unveil themselves when they're afraid, more like a turtle. They're slowly popping their head out because they're afraid of you. They're deathly afraid you're going to step on them and kill them, which really they're afraid that you're going to sell them some shit they don't want. Right? I was being a little egregious. But the point here is 5 no's means you can't give up until that 5th or 6th or no. It's an arbitrary number. I usually say 3 when the market's normal, but people are feeling like things are crazy because of all the uncertainty in the world. So end rant, Jackie, it's back to you.
No, and they don't want to be sales breathed all over, and that's not proper English. But I mean, I think about it. When we talk about going into furniture stores and you're met with like all the piranhas that meet you at the door, and it's like, no, I'm good. I can totally check out all the furniture on my own. Thank you. Even though I need it all, I don't need that in my life. And so if you were to all of a sudden walk over to a sofa and somebody's sitting there and they're just having a nonchalant conversation with you that happens to be a salesman who wants to understand why it's just different, right? And your approach needs to be different. this last part of leverage, and you kind of weaved it all through here really well, is what is your process for the leads that have not responded? What is the process for your leads that are, that weren't interested or told you that they weren't interested, or that they said they're just looking? What is your process for the people that are renting? What is your process for the folks that said they just bought? If your process, now again, you got to look inward, right? You got to shine that mirror and say, okay, if your process has been to tell them, no worries, I completely get it, makes total sense. Listen, if you ever have any questions, you let me know. I'm here for you. Please stop doing that, right? Find a new process, okay? So back to us talking about how humans are just like us, right? With responsibilities and distractions. They're also really great at figuring out the information that they need to on their own, kind of what I said, right? I can figure out all the stuff that I need to about what interest rates are, right? I can see the homes that maybe are still on the market or at least showing to be, right? I'm going to need you at some point, but I can gather all that without you needing to be up in my business. So the idea here is that when you do go 5 deep and you do get somebody who is legit not interested, or somebody who has not responded or is not interested, you need to be able to have a process for these, a follow-up process for these leads as well, via the leverage of automation and action plans. Okay, when we take a look at pay-per-click leads, on average, Robby, how long do they take to convert, did we say?
640 plus days at Hatch Realty, but yeah, almost always years.
Right, years. So if you need to put these leads on action plans to do that follow-up for you, because here's the thing, just because somebody has bought already doesn't mean they'll never buy or sell again. Just because somebody is renting doesn't mean that's all they're going to do for the rest of their lives, right? These leads in your database need to have a long-term automated follow-up on them, just as important as the new leads, so that we can, bring business back to us. One of my favorite, one of the stories I tell a lot, when I was ISAing, I came into real estate 6 years ago as an ISA. And when Hatch was a thing, because I ISA'd, I feel like, a long time without action plans. So thank you for that. Yeah. And I put this not interested action plan on a group of leads. And what was so great is all of a sudden, one day I come in, I check my inbox, and there was a response from a lead that says, Jackie, we're ready. Thanks for staying in contact with us for so long as we dragged our feet or decided what would be best for our family. And I have no idea who this is, to be honest, right? You got to get in the database, you got to find who it was. And sure enough, they have one of these action plans, are not interested action plans running on them. And I call these the cherry on top leads, because if I was left to follow up with these leads consistently year after year, I wouldn't do it. And I'm systems, but I wouldn't, because I'm too busy doing other things that seem to beg for your attention right now. So by applying this action plan, the action plan did it consistently. And that's what brought the lead back to me, because of the consistent communication. And so it's business you wouldn't have otherwise had. And this business is in your database. And it's so important to also have a very good intentional process implemented here for those leads as well.
Yeah, you call them cherry on top. I call them, what leads to the cherry on top is what I call God moments. And whether you believe in God or not, doesn't matter. What happens is, when someone gets a text and it was just a week ago that their wife filed for divorce, or they get a text saying, hey, we connected a while back, I know you weren't interested in making the move, but wanted to follow up and see if your plans have changed at all. And they just went through something tragic, or they just got a job promotion, or they just found out they're being transferred. That creates like a God type moment where people respond. And it is the easiest money you'll ever make, as long as you know how to ask questions and not mess it up. Our job is, or how I view it anyways, with our messaging plans, is to start conversations. then you got to carry them on. I mean, I can't do everything for you. And obviously there's some AI solutions out there. It's just never going to be better than you as a human responding. I think the best use is of automation is to create a conversation and have an empathetic, caring human being on the receiving end of those messages so they can respond accordingly. But yeah, I think you're spot on. You got to have that.
Yep. Okay. So this brings me to the second thing that I want you to write down. And the second thing that I really want you to take a look at within your database, and that is your organization. Are you organizing the leads that you have in your database? Or are you keeping them all grouped together and reaching out to them at random, or only via manual tasks that you might have maybe sort of kind of remembered to apply? Okay, only you can answer that. But again, it's going to be one of those two things. Okay, if you do not have organization within your system, please look into getting some. Okay. Having a filing cabinet for your database is so important so that you know who you are supposed to call through, why you are supposed to call them, and when you're supposed to do it. Okay. Now, if you do have organization in your database, fantastic, but I encourage you to look at it to see if it contains more than just new nurture junk. Okay, because there are more areas of the client journey than just that. Okay, and I want you to see if your organization or your filing cabinet is providing your ISAs and your agents with a process. Okay, if the same people that are ready to do something in 30 days, give or take, should not be grouped together with the people that maybe sort of kind of want to purchase in 2 years when their kids are graduated out of college. So your follow-up approach needs to be different. And I don't believe that we should group them just into a nurture and say, these are people I have to follow up with and hope that we do. Okay, it needs to be better than that. What I've learned is without the organization, for our ISAs or our agents, they get overwhelmed really quickly. Now, organization is a love language for me, so I'll preach this all day long. But when I'm on coaching calls with teams, without it, everybody is irritated. They don't want to open the CRM. And when they do open it reluctantly, because that's their job, they're not motivated to dig through it or to try to make sense of the madness. And this is not how we want our teammates to feel or to act, right? Because the CRM holds all of the leads that we worked really hard to get and spend a lot of money to be able to provide our team with, good opportunities. Okay.
Yeah, there's the whole adage of if you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail. And if you're not organized, you're organized to fail. And I think a lot of you, that's probably the truth right now. I just had a really good conversation with one of our best Hatch system users, who was treating all their tasks the same. So what you just said, Jackie, you breezed over it. But this is one of the simplest rules, whether you're using follow-up or nurture as a term or status, doesn't matter what CRM you're in. The problem with that is once you have more than 5 or 10 follow-ups or nurtures that are due per day, the reality is that I know we all get busy. And what happens is you fall behind on those nurtures or those follow-ups. And that's okay, because we all get busy. Life happens. The whole point of categorizing and organizing your follow-ups is to make sure that you can prioritize. And I think that's a big thing you're getting at, Jackie, here.
Mm-hmm.
The point of organization is so you can prioritize certain activities over others. This way, I can spend more time on higher yielding opportunities compared to lower yielding opportunities. The simplest way to put it is the story Jackie said. If I spoke to somebody a month ago and I said, I want to do something, give me a call back in 2 weeks, that's a really, 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 really great opportunity. And that cannot be in the same bucket as someone who said, I'm waiting for a financial settlement from a lawsuit that was filed 3 years ago. that can't be in the same bucket. And if it's just in a nurture bucket, it's in the same bucket. The way I've always put it is you can't have apples in with oranges. You can call that all fruit, but it's not the same thing. You need to have apples with apples, oranges with oranges. Like needs to be with like, and dislike needs to be with the dislike. You have to have a plan. And for us, we just use the mechanism of A, B, C, D. We advocate and teach, and people that use our system are very accustomed to that A, B, C, D, I guess you could say wording or normal, what's that word? We'll just call it wording. So anyways, I wanted to clarify that a little bit, Jackie.
No, and I'm glad that you did, because it is the prioritization. And another point to add to what you just said is you also cannot just focus on the people that you may have made contact with that you are organizing that way, because that's, again, the right now opportunities. And what happens is we still have other people in our database that we've never made contact with, and we don't know where they are, because we're going to just maybe sort of go through advanced searches and say, show me all the people that I've never called, or show me people that have registered in the last 6 months, and I'll do those leads today. And that's just not a really streamlined way to work in the CRM on a daily basis, whether you're the agent doing it or you have an ISA department. It really needs to be streamlined so that yes, you're feeding and watering the contacts that you've already made and being consistent and intentional, but that you're constantly every day searching for more opportunities. You have to be that farmer, that gold digger. You have to wear all those hats so that you can start to put the follow-ups. What I say, I wanted to mention this, when it comes to, when we're talking about low-hanging fruit, the idea that it won't sustain you. Truthfully, if you want to elevate your business, you have to master the follow-ups, and you have to make sure that you are organizing them so that you have consistent follow-up. Without that, what happens is we have this roller coaster kind of effect of our business. We're really busy, then we're not. Then we're really busy and we're not, because it takes time to find leads and convert them, right? And that's what we're doing. Where what I want for you all is this conveyor belt mentality, where you're putting leads on them consistently further down the line right now. And what will happen then, and please visualize this, is that they're just consistently feeding you. And once you kind of get that conveyor belt filled, Robby, I don't know how you shut it off if you stay consistent with it. And that's what I want for folks.
Yeah, our biggest problems for a lot of our users is I'm overwhelmed a lot of times,
Sure.
Which is a totally different problem to have.
Yeah.
I like it. Jackie, what else do you got that we got to make sure we hit on today?
Yep, I just want to talk about your mindset. This is number 3. Please write it down. How are you feeling when it comes to lead conversion? Are you feeling excited? Are you feeling optimistic at all of the gold that lives within your database that you can search for and find? Or are you feeling that overwhelming, dread that you don't want to do that? That low-hanging fruit is the life for you, and that you'll just kind of convert what responds to you. So we touched on this at the beginning. We've all been conditioned to the market over the last couple of years, that ease effect, that 3-foot hoop that Robby mentioned. And now more effort needs to go into our process now, because we're within this shift. And some of you might be thinking, okay, so how do I know what I need to give the effort to? And it's been my experience that when you're met with that feeling of ugh or dread or like apprehension, that's exactly where you need to start. So I wrote down, Robby, when you were talking about you need to go 5, you need to ask 5 questions. If when Robby said that, it felt like nails on the chalkboard, right? When he mentioned role play, if that felt like that too, that's exactly where you need to start leaning into. Okay. And that's where you need to practice with your team so that you can hone in on those skills and do better. So long gone are the days of low-hanging fruit, friends. We have to really dig in, lean into the effort, to convert more leads.
Am I coming through, by the way? My internet was unstable. Can you hear me, Jackie?
You're good. Yep.
Okay, cool. Awesome. It's really the whole idea. I think what you're saying, Jackie, is people have to be willing to get outside their comfort zone. We got very comfortable the last 2 years getting that low-hanging fruit. And you have to be willing to invest in yourself. You have to be willing to do things you haven't done before. You have to do things and make investments so you can actually win. Not all ladders are the same. To go back to that analogy, some are a 6-foot wooden ladder that is, crappy as heck, and they're going to break the moment you step on them. Some are a little bit better. I will say this: go grab a ladder. You got to do something, period. Like, you have to start doing something. I know some people are doing and taking this a lot more seriously, and they're upgrading the heck out of the ladders and building really great systems, or they're using our stuff. And stuff that people that use our stuff, our biggest problem is people don't use it at a really, really high level. They use the bare basics of it. So if you're one of those users, my biggest call to action for you is do the 5 deep, start finding the emotional why, and dang it, actually commit to learning our system. I promise you it addresses all these issues. Grant asks, can I go to that quick, Jackie?
Yeah, please.
Any suggestions on being innovative with question asking? A month into full time, and I know to ask open-ended questions, but I'm still learning to identify triggers to then formulate these emotionally driven questions. Ask direct emotional questions. What's driving you to want to make a move, Jackie? Right? What's holding you back? When people say that they're renting, ask questions like, how's your rental experience been so far? Most people, 8 out of 10 times, will say they don't like renting. How's renting been? Most of the times they're going to have some horror story. They hate their neighbors. They hate their landlord. Their rent went up. Or ask that question. In the last couple of years, what's happened to the price of your rent? Guess what they're going to say 99% of the time?
Or Robby, how you always say, rephrase and reflect. Say what you think that you're hearing to them. Robby, it sounds like you're really irritated. Yes. Robby, it sounds like you're really upset. And they're going to say, no, I'm not. Or yes, I am.
Yeah. Yep. Facts. So good. And yesterday I was on a call with Mike Novak, and I always jokingly say that Mike Novak is like the best ISA out there. I coached him 4 years on this stuff, or 4 years ago, and he's still so good. He said something so simple that your next question is almost always whatever the person just brought up. The next question you need to ask is based off of whatever they just asked or they told you. It's really that simple. We overcomplicate it. Oftentimes it's turning their response into another question because you have no clue what the hell it means. Right? When someone says they're looking to get a bigger home, what does that mean? Mm-hmm. When someone says their family's growing, what does that mean? You need to stop making assumptions and start asking questions. You got to start clarifying, because humans communicate oftentimes in ambiguous ways, and you need to ask clarifying questions. And then ask things of, don't be afraid to ask, like, how's that making you feel? If you guys don't find a place, Jackie, in the next 3 months before babies come, how's that going to make you feel? Get them to talk about their feelings. Emotions make us act, and logic makes us think. We act and then we justify it with logic later. We are emotional creatures. Go and find it. Find the driving core motivation. And Jackie, you're spot on. You need to check where you're at. If you're in a shitty place when you're calling and talking to leads, your outcomes will be shitty. If you are in a scared, unbelievably anxious, uncertain place yourself, get outside, walk, take a break, because guess what you're going to interpret their conversation as? You see, I've learned one simple thing in life, and it's that we get to color our experience of this world. And if you are in a shitty place, everything will be shittier. We get to choose how we color the world. That's why some people can go through hell and still be good, and some people can be in the greatest situation in the world and still be in hell. You get to choose that, and you will discolor or color everything. What we need to realize is, for the last 2 years, guess what? Your leads, that database that's been coming in like crazy the last 2 years because everyone wanted to buy, 95% of them got kicked in the face and weren't able to buy something because the market was too stupid. I'm pulling 95% out of my ass. I'm just throwing a number out there. A lot of people, for you scientifically, people that wanted me to give a more accurate assessment, a lot of people got kicked in the face and weren't able to do something. They weren't able to find a place to buy, therefore they didn't list their home, and they just stuck. With a market shift, that presents opportunities, and people will start hearing it. And that's opportunities now for you to go back through. And Jackie, we're going to be releasing next week for our users messaging templates and messaging plans for our people to be able to go to apply to your old leads, basically updated versions of our old lead plans that help you find that gold in your database by asking questions and naming things like, we know a lot of things have happened in the market. It's been crazy and it's affecting affordability. And if the market conditions were to improve, would you consider making a move sometime in the next year? We got a lot of questions like this. We're going to be layering into our messaging plans for our users. Literally, our whole goal and everything we do, Jackie and I geek out on this, along with Mike Novak and Matt McKenzie and a few others. We geek out on enhancing that conveyor belt. It's just, there's not many people that geek out on this stuff, but we do, because as you can tell, we're nerds. Jackie looks like less of a nerd than me. We need to get you some Star Wars or something nerdy behind you, Jackie, right? Meet the family photos.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that, Jackie, or you can go work somewhere else. Just kidding.
Oh, okay.
I would never do that to you. But the point here is you've got to be in a good place in your conversations. You got to have tools. You got to upgrade your ladders. But friends, you got to do something. If you're just sitting there waiting for business to come to you, you will die, and you will no longer be in this business, and you will be working somewhere else within 6 to 12 months. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can choose. So Jackie, what else do you want to add? And then
no, just in the mindset piece of it, just, what are you doing, right, to take advantage, to learn more, to make your life easier, to not have to reinvent the wheel? Who are you aligning yourself with? Are you taking advantage of role plays? Are you taking advantage of just coaching calls? Are you taking advantage of just, hey, can you put an extra set of eyes on my system for me and tell me what you think? Don't be afraid to do that. Don't be too, proud to do that. Reach out, like Robby said, geek out over this stuff, like probably in an unnormal way, but reach out. So, always you can contact us, Jackie@hatchcoaching.com. I'd love to have conversations. Any questions you have, just reach out to me.
Yeah, 100%. And then just to answer the last question there, I think it was Hunter Clayton. Now that homes are sitting a bit longer and less competition, do you have any good questions or wording to help buyers feel more confident? I think once you've asked questions about their desires, I think you can then be a truth teller. Really great leaders and ISAs and lead converters, you have to be at the crux of being deeply invested in finding out what somebody needs, wants, and desires, but you also need to be willing to be a truth teller. And fortunately, that truth is actually, for somebody who's looking to buy, a huge win. Hey, Jackie, one thing that I just wanted to name is we're seeing a lot less competition on homes. And I know that you got your face kicked in last year when you tried buying, but we're seeing, when the homes were averaging 15, 20 offers, we're seeing like 1 or 2 offers now when they do sell. So we're not seeing any of the craziness, or a lot less of it. So I think just being a truth teller, speak in stories, tell people what you're seeing, your firsthand experience, or tell a story of your client, tell stories to people. But before you do that, you have to find out what's driving them. If you try telling them stories before you've gotten past what drives them, you are trying to speak logic to someone who's emotional. They're emotionally resistant to you, and it will not be heard. You can say all the right things, the wrong time, it will not be heard. Stop wasting your fucking time, please.
You have to earn that, guys. And that's that attachment to the outcome. You have to earn it before you go there. If you think I'm on the call 3 minutes and I'm setting an appointment because I just asked that question, crazy. Now, sure, different personality types, right? Maybe a little faster, but not 3 minutes, right? You have to earn it.
Have to earn it, 100%. Yeah. And people, the last 2 years were so desperate for you to help them that you didn't need to as much. Those days are gone, and we'll probably never see that craziness again. It was the perfect storm of unbelievably low interest rates, excessive millennial demand because millennials were cohabitating for so dang long, and suppressed housing supply due to Airbnbs, Verbos, and we underbuilt homes the last decade because millennials were cohabitating. we're unlikely to see anything like this again. It was just the craziest stuff. The low interest rates obviously came from aftermath of COVID. So anyways, y'all, appreciate y'all. Jackie, last word.
No, I appreciate you all for showing up and listening to what we have to say. Really do love this. And don't hesitate. Like, I'll talk about this stuff all day long. So reach out. Here for you.
If you found this valuable, next Thursday, SOP, you think Jackie and I are good, you should hear Rachel talk about listings. You should hear Mike talk about buyers. And you should hear Eric talk about leadership. And I will be geeking out about our standard operating procedures. This is not something you're going to want to miss. If you sign up and you attend it and you don't think it's valuable, I will give you your money back. I haven't told Hatch Coaching that, but I just promised it, so I might be screwed. Just kidding. I know the people, they're going to kill it. There's a link for you all. Much love. And if you need anything else, reach out to us. See you.